Chicago, and maybe kind of newer to libertarianism, and we're going to talk about a lot of cool things. I think you're going to like it. Cameron, how you doing tonight, man? Joined today by Cameron Williams. He is a libertarian from the north side of Chicago, and maybe kind of newer to libertarianism, and we're going to talk about a lot of cool things. I think you're going to like it. Cameron, how you doing tonight, man?
Pretty good, Aaron. How about you?
I'm doing well. So as you can see, we got a little bit of a delay. The
Uh-huh.
is it's getting better every day, but you know it'll be awesome one day. We'll use this tool to communicate with people. All right, so real quick, man, the first thing I want to talk about, and then we'll get into a little bit of your personal story after that. I want to talk about Catalonia because obviously we saw a lot of things going down in Catalonia. They had this vote for independence. The government came out with its full force, and just kind of hammering the Catalonians. And so I wanted to relate that back into the Australian ballot as it was originally known. Basically, a government controlled and issued printed ballot in the United States, uh, and how the Catalans were forcibly prevented from voting. I mean, you talk about voter intimidation. Uh, and give your
Mm.
thoughts on that real quick. What went down there.
Yeah, so a lot of the information that I actually heard from the Mises U Institute, and I think Jeff Deese actually had a brung a guest on speaking about it. Uh, Actually, a Spanish guy. What I'm understanding is that the government in Catalonia, uh, they're not allowing this referendum, this independence referendum, to go on, which is kind of strange. Uh, and for libertarians to oppose it, which is something that I'm seeing is kind of odd as well. I'm thinking, any step towards decentralizing any type of state, getting it down from 200 to 201 to all the way down to probably even 7 billion, that hopefully down to the last individual is probably the goal that we should be striving towards. So me seeing that and seeing so many other libertarians oppose that was kind of strange. And I'm speaking particularly. I think it was a woman I was reading about in Mosquito's blog, and he had commented towards this woman. I forget her name, but yeah, I think she's part of Mises U branch in Spain as well.
So, I see. So, yeah, I mean, I'm in the libertarian camp that decentralization is the thing. People shouldn't have to be living under a government where if you guys don't see eye to eye, like you see the same thing here in California after the Trump presidency. The Californians are saying, well, we don't we don't like this. You guys are all going to vote that way. We don't want to be a part of it. We're going to go off and do our own thing. Hey, cool. I mean, we should be behind that. And I just wonder if they voted for secession. I wonder if we'd send in the troops. Not that the U.S. hasn't had a history of that, but
Right.
very unfunny Civil War joke right there. Hopefully not. Uh, yeah, and I've seen some people saying that the Spanish Constitution doesn't allow for this, and I find that kind of a slippery argument because I think we need to boil it down to where does any constitution derive its power? And you say, well, the Constitution is restraining the people from taking this particular action. That's I feel that line of thinking is problematic, especially for libertarians.
Oh yeah, and I agree 100%. Where does it derive its power from? From the actual people. So if the Catalonian people would like this to see, that constitution, basically, I would say parts of it may be null and void after that. Uh, and I think they should be able to have a chance for self determination. Um, and then we'll talk about people that didn't want to leave later on. Uh, Maybe they could stay. But I'm all for any type of secessionist movement. Also, I think there were talks that I guess this secessionist movement that was going on in Catalonia was one that kind of wasn't geared towards liberty or freedom. and therefore it shouldn't be, I guess, likened by libertarians. But I don't think libertarianism says anything that has anything to do with people forbidding people to want to be communistic or socialistic in their own sense. I think it just gives us the right to self-determination, and we should strive for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you said there is important. That area, if I'm not mistaken, I've got another friend that's got a lot of work that he's done on that area of Catalonia, where he says they are historically very socialist, kind of oriented culturally, and that's one of the reasons why they wanted to secede from Spain, so they could go off and do their own thing. Now, of course, I think socialism is bad. It's a terrible disease that generally ends bad. But
Of course.
that's what those people want to do, and they're not trying to tell the rest of Spain that. They just want to do it for themselves. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's the essence of liberty right there. Well, I want to tie it back. I definitely want to tie this back into the Australian ballot. Now, if you're watching and you've never heard of this thing called an Australian ballot, you can look it up. There's a Wikipedia page for it. And what the Wikipedia page says about it, it says, before 1890, partisan newspapers printed filled out ballots, which party workers distributed on election day so voters could drop them directly into the boxes. The states all replaced these with secret ballots around 1890, popularly called Australian ballots. They were printed by the local government and listed all the candidates impartially. And the Australian ballot is defined as having 4 parts. An official ballot being printed at public expense, so tax dollars printed, on which the names of the nominated candidates of all parties and all proposals appear, in the case of a referendum proposal, being distributed only at the polling place. So you have to go to the officially sanctioned polling location. I think that was already a thing. There was already polling places, and they're marked in secret. So the big change here was prior to 1890. What would happen was you would go into polling location and you would tell the people there your vote, audibly. So if you went in, today people talk about the write-in. They say, I'm going to go write in Mickey Mouse. If you showed up to the polling place and you said, I vote for Mickey Mouse, then they count that vote for Mickey Mouse. And today, under the Australian ballot, especially in Illinois, if you write in Mickey Mouse isn't a qualified write-in for the ballot, that vote doesn't get counted. So anyway, so what I'm seeing here with this is that people have turned over the control of the ballot. They've traded secrecy, the secrecy of marking the ballot. They've traded that for control over what's on it. And in which case, we see how that's worked out in Catalonia. We see how that works out here in Illinois in particular, with the onerous ballot.
Yeah, agree.
So anyway,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know if you had comments on that, but I was just rolling. So that's our major problem is trying to get people on the ballot. Anyway, Catalonia, before it, let our people go. Cameron, I want to switch into. Sorry, well, I figured you'd get that. Some libertarians would go, "Oh no, he's quoting the Bible. Turn it off." So here's the thing, man. I want to switch away from Catalonia. I've been following you on social media for a while. I don't know if we've actually met in person. You'd made mention that you might start some commentary or podcasts and YouTube videos, types of things like that. I'm obviously definitely in favor of those types of things. But man, tell me a little bit about how did you get involved in the liberty movement, and kind of where were you before? What was going on that kind of got you interested in liberty, and how you got to where you are today?
Ooh, man. I hope we got some time. Man, my journey to the liberty movement. I would say it started probably a year ago. Probably actually a little longer than that, maybe like a year and a half ago. What event happened in my life where my little cousin. He died to gang violence. He was 16 years old. He died in south suburban area, Sauk Village, right outside of course, the south side area of Chicago. So I want to say ever since that starting point, I was on like I guess like a search or a journey for like some truth, trying to figure out, for one, what would make people of the same distinct race, same racial group, kill each other. It's something like this never occurred, in my life, and me going through that and living through that tragic moment, made me try to figure out, hey, we're blacks. Was there ever a time where black people were at a greater state, in life? Because from what we're told in school is that, hey, blacks were brought from Africa, blacks were in slavery in the South, and after that, it's just whatever. You learn where you learn after that. So I stumbled upon some pretty good authors. I think I picked up some books by Dr. Martin Luther King. I picked up some books by Malcolm X. I think I even picked up some books by Black Panthers like Huey P. Newton, and Bobby Seale. And started reading those books. I read a lot of those books, and I just was trying to figure out, what did these leaders do back then? What made them leaders? And then so I read Frederick Douglass, I read Washington, I read King, I read Malcolm X, and then from there, for some odd reason, I went into economics. It was kind of strange. I thought about economics, and after I got into economics, the first person that came up actually was Adam Smith, and then from Adam Smith it went to Milton Friedman. And after I heard Milton Friedman speak on Free to Choose, I think he had like a 10 series going back in the day, and I listened to all of them, and I saw this one episode with this guy, actually two episodes. I think Thomas Sowell was on two episodes, and Walter E. Williams was on one. But then I saw the talks at the end of them, and Thomas Sowell was speaking about welfare. He was arguing back and forth with this woman about welfare recipients, and how welfare basically subsidized illegitimacy. And when I heard this, I just was like, whoa, I never heard this explained like this. Me coming from a single parent household, mother on Section 8, using food stamps, using other government assistance programs. It just was like, that's why certain things like that happen in our house. That's why she was able to do certain things, uh, and not really have any accountability, or have very little responsibility with her funds. So from Thomas Sowell to back over to Walter E. Williams, I watched State Against Blacks. I watched some of his documentaries. Watched a lot of Thomas Sowell. I guess when he was on talk show hosts and stuff. Well, when he was on talk shows and stuff. And then I was watching one video. I think Milton Friedman was doing something on C-SPAN, or maybe it was on the Hoover Institute, knowledge, and I forgot his name. It's with Peter something, but it was on there, and he had mentioned that he was a small L libertarian, and at that time I was listening to Steven Crowder. I was trying to figure out, uh, what is republicanism. I always thought, as a black person, I was supposed to be a Democrat, or vote Democrat. I never casted a vote, even last year. Even last election, I didn't vote for Gary Johnson. I didn't vote for Trump. I didn't cast a vote at all. So I never cast a valid vote yet. And going from there, uh, I stumbled upon libertarianism. I typed it in YouTube. The first person that popped up was jolly old Murray and Rothbard, and I found my way to the Mises Institute. So it's been a long journey, man. I've been a libertarian for like a full year now, man, and I'm glad to be here because it's been probably one of the truest philosophies that I've heard.
Yeah, so man, I just find it really interesting the way this tragedy with your cousin, yeah, this tragedy with your cousin caused you to look inward and also examine your culture, I guess, with for lack of a better term, and then you ended up in the library immediately. Getting all these books and just going, page by page, author by author, trying to figure out what was going on. I honestly don't think I've ever heard of all the libertarian stories that I've heard of how did you become a libertarian. That was never it. You know what I'm saying? That is a unique story, and I'm really sorry that it happened as a result of this tragedy in the drug war and gang violence. And that's horrendous. So I mean, that just goes back to how many people, all the libertarians that I know that are against the drug war, you know, most of them have not been personally touched by it. I would say I don't want to just cast a big net and say most of them, but most of them, and
Of course not. Yeah, of course.
right. It just kind of reminds me, like when I was going out to the community college out here, I needed to learn how to weld because I got a project going on. I'm learning to weld for it. Well, there were a bunch of guys out there that were learning to weld because they needed a job skill, um, and a lot of the guys, there were a few guys in there from East St. Louis, and every one of them had a story. The one guy acted like uh, everyone he knew had been raided, had a SWAT raid in their time, and these are young dudes, 18, 22, whatever, and they really acted like it's a common thing. So, I mean, those guys are in it. We talk about the drug war affecting people, and then I can drive 30 minutes and be in a whole community that experiences it. So
Oh yeah, and Aaron, and I think what you just highlighted and touched upon is something that is very unique to even a lot of people. I know there's this opium epidemic, and it's mostly happening to white men. So these drugs affect a lot of people, and this war on drugs, it definitely affects Black Americans a lot. And one thing that I also wanted to highlight, I'm sorry, just to go back a little further, um, what I also found odd at this time, which drove me towards looking for truth, is if it just didn't feel natural, to live like this, to have a lifestyle like this. It didn't feel natural for people to be killing other people. That just doesn't seem natural to me. For somebody so young at 16 years old to just leave the face of the earth, uh, this didn't seem natural for me to see. And, even if I did come from a single parenthood home, it just didn't seem natural for me to see my little cousin without his father in jail. That's why I'm like, is it something better than this? It's drugs, is single motherhood, is gang violence, just the only thing that we've always been. So I'm like, what? How can we get towards a higher, more ethical ground? Have we ever even been there? and so I'm just like, man, this is terrible. And I had to search truth, man, and I had to look for something that spoke about truth and change, and libertarianism was that thing.
Yeah, man, that's real interesting. And to go back to what you said about how you somehow made the leap to economics. Uh, I mean, honestly, economics is what the drug war is about. That is kind of what killed your cousin because he was he was looking for a way to engage in commerce in the way that was common, or perhaps seen as more profitable. And with that particular transaction, I mean, you gotta it's a violent occupation, I guess, without trying to make it a legitimate occupation. But operating outside the law like that, it comes with violence. It's violence from your competitors, violence from the police, and and like you said, it's not natural. The natural state of people is cooperation. If we're a civilized people,
Yeah.
then we make our lives better through cooperation, uh, not through violence. And so I think maybe the seeds were there. Like you had to end up as a libertarian because you were looking for a way to cooperate, a way to have a peaceful society. I mean, I feel like it had to be peaceful.
Yeah, yeah. Agreed, agreed. And what's also, I get it. Yeah, I never really heard it explained that way. But also we don't have these conversations like this because I'm definitely surrounded by liberals and socialists and also some neocons. So we never had these conversations with one another on a regular basis. But yeah, definitely, that's exactly what happened. And to to say that, I would also say that in search for this peace and prosperity. Uh, it actually brought me to one of the most radical libertarians that I know of, which is Murray and Rothbard. And I don't necessarily think I'm any. I don't. I mean, we all have mental problems, but I'm damn sure not mentally ill to where I just think radical things and just say, oh yeah, off with their head. But Murray made sense of things to me from Ethics of Liberty, and I know he has some stuff on there that's pretty damn cringy about as far as the non-aggression principle goes. Do parents have the authority to not feed their children and let them starve? I know he explains unborn children as being parasites and stuff. Eh, I understand, but also one thing I did have to also understand is going forward in this journey that I've been down, as far as being a libertarian, I couldn't let libertarianism be my whole encompassing, the all encompassing ideology or identity that I hold as a person. So that's why I started looking back towards Christianity because I am a Protestant Christian. That's why I start um, upholding my cultural identity because I do identify myself as a Black American. So I think some libertarians also kind of are letting this one ever encompassing political philosophy become their identity, which is kind of dangerous. I don't think libertarianism speaks for your whole identity. It definitely shows us how to organize a society for peace and prosperity, though. And I think that's what more so needs to be focused on. And it's a lot to say about that. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm rambling right now. So go ahead.
That's what we do on this show, Cameron. Just so you know. No, so I find it.
I'm not sure if everybody else is like it though.
Well, that's why I get 10 views per video. But that was a joke, a little self-deprecation there. But no, it's interesting because your political philosophy, in my opinion, now myself, I've been a political activist since 2009, and of course, I don't spend every waking minute, trying to move the world in a more libertarian direction, but I do spend some time on it for sure. And I got to level up here. Hold on. I do spend some time on it, and the thing is that I would think in your particular case, where the community you live in is very unlibertarian, think in their thinking, in the way that they've came up over time. Hold on. I need more level to your level's a little higher than mine. All right. The way you were saying,
Okay.
like you're kind of uh, surrounded by people who don't share your way of thinking. If you just go around pounding people with libertarianism all the time, they're just going to flat out reject you. And not only are you not going to help your community, you're going to find yourself ostracized. And then, and I find it interesting what you said about Christianity as well, because I find a lot of libertarians are very hostile toward any type of Christian way of thinking, and I just think that's misguided. I mean, when you have, certainly there are bad things going around in Christian circles, but find it hard to believe that telling people that they should organize themselves in a way that they love their neighbor as they love themselves. That's half the message. The other half of the message is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and oh gosh, I can't come up with it. But anyway, it's love God and love your neighbor. And so, hey, if you're an atheist, cool. Don't love God, but don't tell us that we're jerks for trying to get people to love their neighbor. I mean, that's crazy talk, right? I mean,
Right.
I don't. Yeah. So I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, man, I don't see how I don't see how you can do it any different. You can't just go around, handing out Rothbard pamphlets at your family gatherings or anything like that. I mean, you could
Yeah.
just your phone bill might go down if you do that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't get that many calls.
Right. Well, man, I want to get back to this idea. I know you've been kind of. I've been following you on social media, and I know you've been looking for uh, what it is. You're still kind of soul searching, like you're soul searching philosophy, and now I think what I've seen you doing is trying to figure out where you're gonna go with it, so to speak. Now that you've kind of found a philosophy that you like, what are you gonna do with that philosophy? Um, I know there was talk about running for office at one time. There's definitely talk about podcasting or YouTubing, things like that. Man, I'm all for that. I think that we can't have enough content out there, and I mean, this is going to sound racist, but look at what Eric July's doing. I mean, that not to say, hey, you're black, you need to be putting out videos, but I mean, July is saying it's the culture, it's the culture, it's the culture, and honestly, people aren't going to listen to your people that on the north side of Chicago, and the people that I have right down here in East St. Louis. I hate to say this, but they probably don't need to hear it from me. They need to hear it from somebody that has had their experience, so to speak.
Okay, to answer your question, as far as podcasts, blogging, what's the next step to I guess push these ideas forward? Man, I think about these things on a regular basis, and if my wife was woke, she probably would tell you it drives her crazy. Um, I think I have anxiety, man. I'm extremely I don't know. I calculate these things, and I go over and I go over them, and nothing comes out. Like seriously. So I'm trying to conquer that. I'm trying to find my lane. It's so much that I do want to do. I think I more so want to have outreach. That kind of goes into the Black American community. No disrespect to any other class of people or a race of people, but I do want to have some outreach, some strong outreach there, and whoever the message hits, just like when Thomas Sowell and Walter E. Williams hit me, um, it hits whoever it hits, and you know, more so, and it's actually odd because while we're up north, a lot of the people back home are in the south side. You know, a lot of people are in the south suburban areas such as Chicago Heights, Ford Heights, Riverdale, places like that. A lot of people are back there, and I'm kind of cut off from them, so I'm almost like a sitting duck. We're over in what they would call Little India in Chicago. So uh, I definitely, I'm definitely open to giving the message out to any group of people, but I definitely feel like I need to hone in and target a specific class because these niche markets need to be created. And I think that's kind of what you're trying to say, like, hey, black guys in the libertarian movement, do something because yeah, Tom Woods is definitely cool, man. He's great. Jason Stapleton is cool. They're great. AP, Larry Sharp, they're all cool. They're great. But we definitely need these niche markets, man. We need to hone in and focus in on these local areas to try to get something going.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Um, because like I say, most of the people that you're going to reach, they're not going to be out there googling Thomas Sowell and finding him and that kind of thing. So the interesting challenge becomes how do you bring an ideology into a community that is hostile to it, but honestly, these are people that would benefit from it in a very real and tangible way, especially if they could see that the state itself, a lot of people, if they come from kind of like a socialist or even just like a Democrat kind of background, they probably view the state as a solution to most of the issues that they have, and they want to try to wield the power of the state and make it work toward their ends and make it more equitable or whatever. Whereas,
Mhm.
of course, the way we see the problem and the way Murray Rothbard describes it so eloquently, and other thinkers like Robert Murphy and those guys, is that the state is the problem. It's causing your problems, and then its solutions are not solutions at all. They're maybe worse than the issue to begin with. And so, man, I think if we could figure out a way to bring that message to people in a way that they would accept it, or not accept it, but get people to look at issues in a new way. That'd be it. We crack that nut, and then
Yep.
freedom.
Yep. And that's that's exactly what I think I'll be trying to do in the coming years. This specialization on these points and these topics that I believe most Black Americans actually adhere to. I actually find more middle class and upper class Blacks, majority of them may actually have socially conservative leanings. Um, they raise their children uh, to have some type of gusto about themselves. As much as they would not know what capitalism is, or probably say that capitalism is evil, they don't raise their children that way. And I like to think the same is for lower income and poor blacks actually as well. I don't think mothers on single mothers on welfare who have had children at a teenage age. I don't think they grow up with daughters and say, hey, have children at 16 or 17. I think all people strive to have a better future going forward, especially for their children. So I think we could hit them with this stuff. I think some of the scariest parts for people is just knowing that uh, it's going to change their lifestyle, and the things that they have now, which probably may not be a lot, will be diminished. Um, but in the long haul, in the long run, it'll create a greater society for all people, especially if you choose to live by it. So it's difficult message to get across, especially with Black people. They rarely hit me on this topic. They push back a lot.
Yeah, well, like I say, it's foreign to them. I mean, it doesn't have any relation to their experience, and it's a lot of people. It's just going to be a new way of looking at the world that they've never considered. And so we have the same problem. I mean, it's not the black community. I mean, we have the same problem in white Christians, uh, white liberals, all these people. They have you kind of mentioned Murray Rothbard has some really bad writing on a few things. Well, a lot of that stems from the desire for libertarians to have this logical consistency, and so you feel like you have to cover every base. And looking back, maybe Murray should have pumped the brakes a little bit before saying all those things. Maybe those didn't need to be solved right away. But when you look at like the liberal ideology, there's absolutely no logical consistency there, where higher taxes is the answer for everything, and then they try to say that at the same time people don't respond to incentives. It's like you got to find out. I don't know. I mean, if you can tax people out of drinking sugary drinks, then how come people don't respond to incentives? It seemed like you were just trying to prove that just a minute. So it's all over the place. So it's not, I don't know. It's not just one community or another. It's a problem across the board. Um,
Oh, yeah.
well, man, I kind of put you on the spot a little bit. I was trying to get you to, you know, say that you were going to start putting out content. I understand it's maybe not the easiest thing to just commit yourself to. Um, before we cut, man, we're at 35 minutes or so. Um, any other
Hmm.
any other things you want to just kind of bring up, or just ramble on about, or what are you thinking? While I got you here.
Um, man. As far as I think we could touch on the Libertarian Party a little bit. I know I haven't been that active in my chapter, and I know that's definitely something that a lot of people are like, especially political people that are politically involved with the Libertarian Party, are like, well, if you guys want to change, you gotta get involved. I know Sarwark always says that, you guys have all these opinions, but you guys aren't active, and it's like, yeah, but for some odd reason, I feel like if I am, I don't know if you guys will even listen to me. Uh, I think I could keep it 100 with you, Aaron. When I first visited my chapter of the Libertarian Party, it was great, to see other people that held an ideology similar like me. And then once I started speaking, I actually started seeing the differences. Because I came from, I guess what I now understand is this Mises U type of branch, and I think there may be like a Cato Institute and Mises Institute type of divide. I didn't understand that, but these are the guys that first explained to me that there may be a left libertarian and a right libertarian divide. And at first, I wasn't seeing that. I spoke about Rothbard. I spoke about anarcho-capitalism. I'm this extremely edgy dude, not even trying to be edgy. Actually, it actually just sounds like it'll work. And they're like, nah, not no anarchist stuff. It's more so minarchist over here. And I'm like, man, this sucks, dude. I'm like, like this doesn't feel good. I actually feel a little ostracized by my own political party a little bit, which now I definitely understand a lot more things, like something like the incident that happened with Arvin Barr and Larry Sharp about the military. I understand Larry Sharp's position on that, and that's what I mean by not making libertarianism your the ever encompassing identity of your whole person, but just really adhering to the principles of self ownership and private property rights and non aggression principle. And I said that over this whole year. Um, when I first started becoming a libertarian, I've always said those same things because that's what Murray states in the book, Ethics of Liberty, and I believe him to probably be the founder of libertarianism, modern libertarianism at least, or at least just the beginnings of the libertarianism that I know. And I don't know why I've seen so many people that were like, well, no, you won't like Murray, you'll like Jeffrey Tucker a little bit more. And nothing against Tucker because I never really read any of his stuff. I don't even really check in on Fee. Um, but I think I am more so kind of, I don't know, man. I'm kind of just mental fatigue at some point, sometime when I'm even with my own group of people, as far as libertarian. So yeah, it just feels a little odd.
Yeah, man. So obviously here in the Libertarian Party, like that's obviously my chosen vehicle, and this video that we're doing, I'm going to publish it on the YouTube channel that I maintain for our local chapter, and I think kind of what you experienced there is the way that libertarians are kind of self defeating, right? Because you're a guy. This is a great example, and I'm not just saying like everybody needs to be nice to Cameron. What I mean is you're a guy who looked inward and you went through this whole search and you said, man, libertarianism, this is the deal, and you read a little bit about it, and at the same time, maybe not all of your philosophy is completely developed, and so then if I'm extrapolating to people at large, it's a very common experience for someone to say, well, I'm a Democrat, well, and then after a few years, I don't really think I am now. Maybe I'm a Republican, and then they look at that for a while and they go, well, maybe not, and then they settle on libertarianism. Your mileage may vary, but people get here that way, and then they come to a meeting and they're like, man, these people are nuts, and they don't like me. And so the first thing that the Libertarian Party needs is manpower. We're trying to be an almost all volunteer force, except for the Larry Sharp campaign. Those guys have got it together, and I'm going to talk about that in maybe some future videos. But it's supposed to be like an all volunteer force, but then when people come in that would be our best volunteers, we scare them away by giving them the purity test and maybe talking about some nutty stuff. In my opinion, like you said, the left libertarian, the Mises Institute, and kind of stuff like that. That's why there's this Mises caucus now, and they're wanting to move the party in more of a Misesian direction. All that stuff can wait. We have a few people with libertarian on their name that are speaking true libertarian values that are hopefully elected somewhere or at least known in their community. Then we can start arguing about those types of things. But I mean, we're so far gone in the direction against a free society that it's just not even relevant. That's my opinion. Long-winded. I see what you're talking about, and I see that that's
No problem, man. I'll just like I was saying, man. I'll meet you, on that other side. We're one, we're two different halves of the same coin, man. Like I said, some people focus on the political aspect. I'm trying to focus on the cultural aspect, but trust me, I'll be bringing people your way, and we'll combine. And I thank you guys for this opportunity to just let me have this platform that you have right now.
absolutely, man. I really appreciate you joining me today, and man, I hope people listening, hope you guys like this. Leave me some comments about the stuff we talked about. Did you think we were, you know, over the top, or we didn't cover on things enough? Um, Again, back to the Catalonia thing, super dangerous precedent, and man, anti-freedom all the way. Australian ballots, major problem, and man, yeah, Cameron, I absolutely wish you luck. You know, bringing the philosophy to the people that you're with on a daily basis, and I hope you start winning some hearts and minds, as they say in the military. So, thanks for joining me tonight, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right.
All right, guys. I am joined today by Cameron Williams. He is a libertarian from the